so I thought I had these intros down on lock. Figured I know how to do it every single time. I just gotta sing a song, but...
What song is that?
I don't know, like... Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra.
Fly me to the moon.
The Space Jam song, I Believe I Can Fly, but...
I believe I can fly.
I just got nothing. So, Here's a low-energy intro for y'all. Whole new pod nation. DCOM's in his house.
Pod up.
I'm Lucas Melby. You know how this be.
Jacob Telehujan. Tellijan, like John.
Jacob's bringing the real energy,
the real deal,
the goofs with his name. That's the classic bits right there.
Yes,
but
you just seem really depressed today. Did I miss something?
I shouldn't be, because the movie we watched was so great.
It was a good movie. It was
a quality DCOM.
Solid.
Hey man, sometimes I think I have the comedy and the jokes for the intros. Sometimes I don't. And this was one that I planned as like a joke, and maybe it just didn't go anywhere. Maybe I should have just sang, Steve Miller Band stuff. But you know what?
The sad and depressing, that was the route you wanted to go?
Yeah. And then I'll have a really like crazy raunchy opener for The Color of Friendship.
Oh my god.
So, anyways, this is a whole new pod. You know what it's all about. We're talking about those Disney Channel original movies, the ones that have been blowing up your Twitter feed with people being like, I'm this old because of this Disney Channel original movie. Because
it's happening.
We're just outsourcing BuzzFeed articles. We're doing the work of them, and we're just hoping that we get picked up for a listicle sometime.
That'd be cool.
We got some good gifts. We'll have Chaz Anthony leaning on a locker. We'll put in the caption guitar squeal.
I wanted you to say leaning on a llama. But you didn't.
Well,
it's not
we didn't watch Llama Sense. We watched Horse Sense.
Well,
but speaking of Horse Sense was a very down-to-earth movie, all about the literal dirt and grit that comes with living in the West.
The real deal, the real life living.
And we're taking to the skies with the movie we watched this time.
Literally.
The first 2000. The year of the DCOM, as we mentioned before.
January 22nd, 2000.
Yes, where we're going to get 12 whole DCOMs this year. And we're, of course, talking about... I don't know how many superhero movies there might be in the DCOM catalog, but at least the inaugural superhero DCOM, Up and Away.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Up in the Air, starring George Clooney and Hannah Kendrick, which is, as far as I know, having not seen it, about just having like sex in an airplane.
That's fine.
But George Clooney, that's also relevant because he's in a movie called The Descendants, which is also the name of a DCOM franchise that we'll be getting down to.
Oh my goodness.
Quite far down the road, but that's just
later.
An interesting aside.
I don't know. I don't really know much about that one.
But Up and Away, as I've already said, I thought this movie was pretty cool. We'll get into the plot details, and then afterwards, I think I have some more. This is one where I can really talk about the significance and cultural relevancy of a DCOM. You
kind of threw it down on me right before we started this,
Hey man, not everything we do here is off the cuff. We do our homework on this bitch.
Gotta.
But again, we begin where all things begin.
Internet Explorer.
Yes. The first shot of this movie is a very low texture, low poly. You might I don't even know if GIFs or GIFs, if you're a bad person, existed at the time, but it's a spinning Earth, a spinning globe.
And with a giant E for...
eventually gets an E. First, the title of the movie, Up and Away, pops up. And then, an E pops up over it, which Jacob...
it looked like the internet, like a ripoff of the Internet Explorer logo.
Excuse me, it's Microsoft Edge now.
Oh my goodness.
It's still bad, but it's got an edgy name.
Edge.
But yes.
What does the E stand for, Lucas?
Well, I can't remember if there's also a P somewhere, but it's Earth Protectors.
Yeah, right beneath it says Earth Protectors. I don't remember there being a P in my E, but there was definitely an E on.
Yes, the E is the most important part. So we see that superimposed onto the Earth. So it is supposed to be a logo of a thing. So within the technology of the time, it's believable that it looks as bad as it does.
Yeah.
And we get to see who we'll quickly find out are villains of the movie, and we're in their base. It's a young boy who will later learn his name is Malcolm, and he's with his sister Nina, who is typing away on a computer, and
Yeah.
I don't exactly remember what they're saying, but the most significant part is that they're talking about how they're going to change the world.
Like you had said, like they're kind of the evil people of our story.
So you can see how if somebody wants to change the world, it could be an idealistic thing where it's something good, or it could be a supervillain thing where it could be bad. And we'll actually get some of both of those with these two characters as the movie progresses.
Yeah, it started off as a wholehearted idea, but it quickly turns into so much more worse.
Then we're introduced to our main character. He's kicking a soccer ball around in his room.
Kicks it out into the hall, and down goes Papa.
So Scott's name is Scott Marshall. Which is confusing because he's called Scott by his family, but then later on somebody calls him Marshall, as you know, some people call you by your last name. But when your name is two first names and you're trying to figure out what the name of this character is, it's a little confusing.
I think it would have been cool had they also called him by his middle name. So like Scott, Andrew, Marshall. So his mother would call him Andrew. Or they call him
by his initials and they call him Sam.
Oh man, 4. Oh my.
Dad's reactions after getting kicked by the ball was like, oh, man, I could have gotten a concussion. But then he comes in and is like, yo.
4 days, son.
Let me just say, yes, the family in this movie is African-American.
Yes.
But if you've listened to any of our podcasts, a lot of time we might just say like, yo and stuff. Anyways, we're not saying that in the context of this movie to try to sound stereotypical or anything. But he comes in and is like, yo, son, it's your birthday coming up. You're turning 14. It's so exciting.
We pumped.
We know hyped. That Scott's excited about it because he goes and looks at a calendar in his room that has every day approaching his birthday.
For the last 13 years and 361 days.
As a child, he was born from the womb. He had a daily calendar. It was with Far Side characters, so he just rip off a page every single day. So his birthday based on the calendar is within like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
He goes down to breakfast where we meet his mom. He also has an older brother who I caught his name, but then I forgot. A little sister named Molly. And everything, anybody can talk about is Scott's birthday.
And why is his birthday so special?
Well, we'll find out in a little bit. During breakfast, Scott's friend and one of my favorite characters in the movie stops by, Randy. He comes in with... something that starts to shock the family. They see it's an aluminum foil encased something, and they ask, what is that?
Scared as shit.
As dramatic music is playing, it's all like, dun, dun, dun. Happy music is done. Dramatic music time.
Yes.
And Scott tries to, cool the air, get rid of the tension, says, I think we need to go to school. So he goes. Randy's like, what? It's just zucchini bread. So he leaves it on the table, and they're on their way to school, and they're talking about... I don't even remember her name because she's hardly in the movie. I just refer to her as Soccer Girl, who is apparently the love interest of Scott.
The love interest, yes.
Randy's like, oh, you love Soccer Girl? He's like, no, I don't. Stop. And then they come by Soccer Girl's house. And
she calls him Marshall.
Yeah, she's the one who calls him Marshall.
So we got Scott, we got Marshall, and we got...
And she's like...
so many more names.
Talking to him about soccer because they're on the soccer team together. And I think this is where it's talked about, who's going to be the team captain? It's between you two. But she says something along the lines of, hey, Scott, hope you don't choke or something. Because Scott brings up throughout the movie that he's the Choke King.
Yes.
Which really should be his superhero name later on in the movie. She ends up kicking a soccer ball at them. It hits Randy, who's on a bike. He falls over.
Scott says, you missed. And then Randy's on the ground. No, she didn't.
It's all not very fun. It's not really that great. But what is great is when we cut back to the Marshall household, where we see Mama Marshall carrying out the zucchini bread with tongs, barbecue tongs, keeping them as far away as she can as they're encased in aluminum foil.
Well, Papa Marshall's digging a hole that's 6 feet deep. And it's wide. It's a big hole.
Not spoiling anything. They're superheroes, so his power is not the ability to dig holes very quickly, but he's pretty good at it. He could be a graveyard keeper, not needing an excavator or anything.
It was a good hole.
It's almost like they've had to do this before.
And he's in this hole with a garbage can.
Oh, I think I forgot about that.
Yeah, and he opens up the garbage can and she drops it in, and then they're like, "Wow, I really love zucchini bread."
So, is it the zucchini bread? No, it must be something else. We'll find out that as superheroes, they're kryptonite, which they do mention because they're very easy. And
they talk a lot
They use a
about
lot of intellectual properties that maybe are not owned by the Disney company.
Spider-Man, Superman, Green Lantern, Green Hornet, Fantastic Four. They're all mentioned.
But the kryptonite of the Marshall family of superheroes is aluminum foil.
Spoiler.
Or as the British say, aluminium. So then Alex Jones and all the other conspiratorial people online who wear tinfoil hats, they're super villains.
They jumped on this.
Yeah, in the year 2000.
They're all over Up, Up, and Away.
So at school, there is a presentation from the teacher who's hyping up that they have the founder of Earth Protectors, Mr. Quinn.
Mr. Quinn.
Who is the character we saw at the beginning of the movie with
the
sister typing on the computer.
Yeah.
Who has donated computers for the entire class to take home.
You got the hook up.
I guess Earth Protectors is some vague software engineering company that also has an eco-friendly message, but I don't really understand how their mission statement, those two things cross over and connect.
No, I don't.
Everybody's psyched to get a computer. Randy is extremely psyched.
Yes.
I don't know if he's just psyched about the computer or to see Mr. Quinn, Malcolm Quinn, but he is fist pumping. He's
woo!
Yeah, if you remember when we talked about Can of Worms, where the class is all freaking out about I think that kid's name was Scott in that one too. Of Scott with his face on the pig, and everybody thought it was the funniest thing. It's that level of excitement.
So
he's like a kid that you would see in the audience of a wrestling match. You'd be like, yeah, John Cena. His superpower is he should be a reaction YouTuber. He can just watch the trailer for every Star Wars movie and be like, oh my god, Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon, and he starts crying. Good stuff. He's got a big career ahead of him. He's going to open up all the Kinder eggs and not believe what he gets. Back to Mr. Quinn. He is trying to put out his most eco-friendly image because there's a girl who's crumpling up some paper, and he's like,
gotta recycle that.
I hope you're going to recycle that. And she's like, thanks for peer pressuring me.
Thanks, Mr. Quinn. Okay.
As he's leaving the school, he goes out to a creepy
sex offender van, if you will.
Well, yeah, it's a paneled van, but it does have the EP logo on it.
Probably in a giant magnet. Just a giant slap-on magnet.
But he opens it up, and inside is
5 creepy-ass people.
Yes.
They pan to each one very slowly, and each one looks more creepy than the next.
And we'll learn that part of what's involved with these computers is brainwashing, but it's not clear if all of the people in this van are brainwashed because there's one of the cronies who keeps coming up in the movie. He is clearly not brainwashed.
He's in on it.
But one of the adults, they're all adults in here, has green eyes, and I'm like, oh, those look unnatural. But none of the other adults do.
One of the things, though, they do mention is that their programs don't work on adults yet. That was one of the things.
Yes, yeah, so I don't know, maybe weird plot hole, as we'll see with something coming on later in the movie.
Yeah.
But he says, oh, I just hate kids. Why do we got to do our research on kids?
As he pulls out a piece of gum and then throws the wrapper outside.
Yep, so he hates kids and he's littering.
Who
is he? Why he fronting in this?
He's Mr. Quinn.
Yes, Mr. Quinn, who then quickly we'll just call Malcolm from this point.
Malcolm X.
Because we only knew Mr. Quinn, and then we knew Malcolm, and then in my notes I pretty much never go back.
His tip, though, for the computers he was giving away, that the thing was those kids had to go home to do some homework, and they had to download specific just programs every different night.
Which I'd be psyched about. I mean, first you get a free computer, which is dope. And second, your homework is literally the easiest in the world.
Computer work.
We get to see where Mr. Quinn goes after the school, which is to the bank, where he's trying to make a withdrawal, but the teller tells him he has shit. He's got no money.
$1. He had $1.27 in his bank account.
And he's like, you must be mistaken. Here, look at your computer again. And somehow the computer has the Earth Protector logo on it.
He had looked at the clock, and I thought maybe at a certain moment, a whole bunch of money was just going to actually appear in his bank account, but it was actually just
I guess
okay, we have
Nina
this program.
Must have been hacking in or something.
Yeah, we have this program set to go off at 45, and it was 30 seconds till.
So pops up. He's brainwashed. All the tellers around him are brainwashed,
and they all just pull out all the money.
Yeah, they're just pulling out mad stacks of cash.
Yes,
they're handing it over, but at this point, Quinn is joined by his main crony, and his main crony sneezes, which seems to snap the adults out of their brainwashing.
Yeah.
Which is not a relevant thing about sneezing or anything. It's never brought up again. It could have been fun little break in the hypnosis, but it just was in this one state. And the teller's like, what the hell is going on? And then he calls for security.
Yeah.
Cut to, I think this was maybe intercut with some of this, but Mr. Marshall.
Yeah.
We'll learn.
We'll
learn his other names soon.
Ooh.
But he's driving the kids to soccer practice, both Scott, Randy, and Soccer Girl.
Yeah.
And he gets a message on his pager.
Yeah.
About presumably what is happening at the bank. And
bank robbery.
They're trying to make an excuse because he needs to get out of there. Scott's like, oh, there's something wrong with the car. So they stop. Randy and Soccer Girl run off, and then Scott talks to his dad. So we find out that Scott knows his dad is a superhero.
Yes. At first, I don't know if it was just going to be a secret till he had turned, the certain age.
He strips his clothes off in front of his son, and then he puts on his suit, and he is Bronze Eagle.
Bronze Eagle.
And we get a lot of the main characters in the movie, but there's also some side characters with the costumes. And the costumes aren't the greatest, but this was working in, TV budget in the 2000s.
Really tight latex.
Some of them. And he is like, I gotta go off and help this person, and he jumps up into the air.
Scott just admires him the whole way. He's like, wow, my dad is so cool.
I mean, Bronze Eagle is a decent name, too. I kind of like Bronze Eagle.
What was his G-Paw's name? Jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get to most of the other characters' major names. So he jumps up into the air and yells the title of the movie.
Up, up, and away!
Implying that whenever he is to fly, because he has the power of flight, that he
needs to
has
use
to
the key
say
word.
up and away.
Yeah, has to.
So he gets to the bank, and soon we find that Mama's
throwing out bodies.
Also known as Warrior Woman, not Wonder Woman. She's already there, and she's beating up these bank robbers.
But they're not the individuals we see robbing the bank, which I was confused about.
Yes, I'll get to that. So she throws them out of the window, and this is probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. We get a little bit of action, but it's one of those scenes where it's like effortless action, where they're so good, they're managing these villains or these bank robbers so well, and they're having a conversation.
They're like punching them behind them, just like they know where they are.
They're talking about, what? I thought you're supposed to be taking the kids to soccer practice. Yeah, it's fine.
I was in a meeting.
Yes, and it's very, very much Incredibles-like, of Mr. Incredible with Elastigirl.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, this came out in the year 2000. Incredibles came out in 2004. So this is like proto-Incredibles.
Incredibles ripped these guys off.
A family of superheroes. Like, this is the exact dynamics of something like that. It was, too. There's a fun bit where the bank robbers feel like they get away. They get into their van, and they're about to drive away, but then they just crash into Bronze Eagle, who he doesn't have super strength, but he does one of those things where he just puts out his hand and stops the van. So
maybe he's strengthy. He's just not
the mythos of all these characters. The lore isn't maybe the most dialed down. No. We'll let it slide.
We'll allow it.
So they hand them off to the police, and we see in the crowd of people that are gathered, because whenever there's an accident or a bank robbery or something happening in a superhero movie, there's always a crowd of onlookers.
Yeah.
And amongst these onlookers, we see Malcolm Quinn and his crony, who it is then implied in this situation that they were able to hypnotize the bank robbers.
That's what I was...
To take the fall for them when they're planning to go through.
I wonder how they managed that. Had they were already out of their trance.
But again, we find out in a follow-up scene of this that the reason why the bank teller didn't really work correctly with the hypnotism is it doesn't work on adults.
Yeah, it's meant for
But all of these bank robbers were adults as well.
It's very confusing.
So there's some plot holes. I like enough of this movie and what it goes for that I can overlook some of these shortcomings.
We'll allow it.
So Dad is able to get back to the soccer game after cleaning stuff up with Warrior Woman. I keep on saying like Warrior Mom or something.
Warrior Mom.
And at the game, brother, who I can't remember. I don't get his like name either.
Adam.
But Adam. Okay. Oh yeah, I do have that written down here. Adam, the brother, shows up, who has super speed because he just zooms up really quick, and also has electrical powers because he shows those off just on the bleachers at the side of the field in front of all of these
he
parents.
He didn't give two shits. He was just twirling his fingers.
And Bronze Eagle was not too pleased with that and was like, hey, quit that. But they're talking about Scott's upcoming birthday because it's the talk of the fucking town. Yeah. Everybody's all about this birthday. And it's relevant because, like some other DCOM greats,
something special happens on
an arbitrary birthday. Usually it's been 13. Halloween Town in 13th year. It was 13. But here it is 14, where if somebody is from a superhero family, that means...
by the age of 14, they need to have shown superpowers. Once they hit 14, if they haven't shown any signs, that's it. No mas.
Which brings up kind of a weird thing that superpowers are passed down genetically. So there's kind of this...
Scott's the bastard son.
That's not what I'm going for.
He's adopted.
But there's this kind of established greater race of humans then that superpowers are familially passed down. So there's this...
They're all going to be related at some point.
It seems like there's a situation where it could go bad, that superpowers could die out if a whole family died, or...
They're breeding amongst each other.
Well, that's the thing is...
They would have to, unless...
Bronze Eagle and Warrior Woman are both superheroes.
Yeah.
But then, what if somebody marries a non-hero? How does that affect their children's rate of becoming superheroes?
Why isn't Scott super?
Exactly. Is it a recessive gene type thing instead of a dominant gene? It's interesting. It's not addressed in the movie, but it's one of those things where this movie leaves you with wondering some things, asking some greater questions that other DCOMs don't. So I found it just possibly fucked up or problematic thing that could come with having only certain families having superpowers.
Fair.
So at the Marshall house, we get to see a showcase of some of the other kids' powers. Adam is able to set the dishes or set the table really quick.
See, but did he really do it quick? He can travel. We talked about this. He can travel around the world in 1 second, but it took him 5 to set the table. I feel like he should have the table just boom, set. You see one little flash, it's set.
I don't even think Superman or the Flash can go around the world in a second.
So Adam he's top
so that implies extreme speed.
So he's kind of like the Sonic.
No, Sonic's not even that fast. He's like the Super Sonic.
Super Sonic. Super Saiyan Sonic.
Super Sonic. If we go into my side,
that's a real thing?
Yes, Super Sonic is a real thing. It's what happens when he collects the Chaos Emeralds. And it is highly likely that it is actually inspired by Super Saiyan in Dragon Ball Z. But that's a whole new pod Sonic corner for you.
Oh my god.
Back to Up and Away. There's just some offhanded line that I thought was really funny because Adam's talking to his dad about what happened at the bank.
Yeah.
And Bronze Eagle says, I hope we're not dealing with some kind of criminal mastermind.
True.
Which I just found funny that they didn't want to say a villain or a super villain, just a criminal mastermind. Because we get criminals and we get masterminds. When we get a criminal mastermind from time to time, that's when we know shit's bad.
Yeah.
So Eagle Dad goes up to talk to Scott in his room because Scott is kind of freaking out, getting stressed about whether he's going to get his powers or not. Eagle Dad, despite what he talked to Adam at the soccer game about, which is that he thinks that Scott is probably not going to get superpowers because it's running very close to his birthday and he's got nothing. He tells him, some people didn't get it until the day of their birthday or a day before. You got time. It's no big deal.
Plenty of time.
But then goes back down as Scott is I'm going to be the best hero ever. I love my dad. I'm going to be just like my dad. And then he goes in immediately, dad that is, goes and talks to mom, who's you didn't tell Scott about, he's probably not going to get powers. And then we see Scott in the other room.
Kind of like Marnie in Halloween Town, how they're talking about her powers. Remember, her birthday?
But in the context that he won't have powers.
Well, that was kind of the same thing, though, if they didn't allow her to have the powers. If she didn't get to Halloween. Yeah.
So it's kind of a funny thing where you get, those scenes right next to each other where there's not a drawn-out period of Scott thinking, I will get powers, and then, no, I won't. It's literally right next to each other.
He's at the ultimate high, and then he's at the ultimate low in the matter of minutes.
And then Grandma and Grandpa come over. Grandpa, we learn...
Grandpa's cool. We don't really see much of Grandma at all.
No.
Honestly.
Because Grandma
She morphs.
Yes, we are told she morphs.
And that's it. We don't see her morph.
Extremely intriguing that
like the
she has
coolest
that
one.
power, but it's also probably the highest budget power if they had to put that into the movie.
It's just like a ditto, a human ditto.
She's an animorph.
Okay.
She's a beast girl. I don't think we learned her superhero name either. Maybe she does. Maybe she wasn't a hero.
I remember seeing her, when they walked in the kitchen, they're like, oh, Grandma's here, and that's like it. Yeah. I don't remember. Maybe at the party?
No, I don't think she's in a costume either.
Weird.
Yeah.
They had her cast.
The progressive warrior woman she's a hero, but Grandma, back in her time, there wasn't women heroes yet, I guess. We also... Earlier, we see that Molly, Scott's little sister, she has powers. She's got already.
Like I said, that's the Jack of this family. She can melt things with her mind. She can X-ray vision.
She has X-ray vision and laser eyes. She's not quite the Jack because Jack has seemingly every power. Yeah. I don't know if they ever really nailed down what his exact skill set is.
Anything and everything.
So, Scott's the odd one out. Grandpa, who's probably, without a doubt, my favorite character.
He's cool.
Randy's a bit of a gimmick character, but Grandpa's really
fun.
Cool.
Grandpa's
we learn
cool.
He's very, again, not trying to be stereotypical, but he's a very sassy old black man.
Yes. Steel Condor.
Yeah, Steel Condor is his name, which is not as good as Bronze Eagle, but it's still okay. He's going on about because he's bringing in some groceries, and his dad, Bronze Eagle, who is Steel Condor's son, is saying, oh, do you want me to take that, Dad? And he's like, no, whippersnapper, I got this. I got super strength. I can lift up this damn counter. Little bit of a funny thing. Grandpa continues to go off at dinner talking about Superman, like by name, talking about Clark Kent.
Man of Steel.
Yeah, he goes by the Man of Steel. What's that leave me? Is a Steel Condor? I'm just a motherfucking bird.
Steel bird.
And this is where Grandma talks about, like, Spider-Man and Mary Jane.
Yeah, they were over for, like, lunch yesterday or something. So at this
point, obviously Disney owns Marvel now. I don't know when the purchase happened. It might have
been in
effect in 2000.
It didn't matter.
But they didn't own DC, so they're just name-dropping him. But it also... The way superheroes work in this, everybody knows everybody's, like, secret identities. They know, like, their family... Yes. So for them to know who Spider-Man is, and for Spider-Man to have let them know like who Mary Jane is, just seems kind of crazy.
They're really good friends. That's really all you can say.
Before dinner, Scott had set up a gimmick door. That's maybe a wrestling term, but he had set up a door that he unscrewed it so that he was able to fake to have super strength in a ridiculous way where the effect, they must have had the door on strings of some kind. And he's like, hey, Grandpa. He pulls the door open, and then it flies away from him, and then, like, up in the air to, like, avoid hitting him. But it looked extremely fake.
I loved it. We watched it twice.
Yeah, we went back to watch it. It is very funny.
It was good.
So, again, at the topic of conversation at dinner is Scott's powers. So that really hits home. A theme that happens in a lot of Disney Channel movies, or at least ones we've seen so far, of familial expectations.
Yeah.
Scott feels pressure that all of his family has powers. 3 of his family members, and I guess more of his extended family members, are superheroes. Friends of the family are superheroes. He really wants to be a hero. He wants to live up to his family expectations.
So bad.
We find out that this party is going to be a big party where other heroes come to it, so he doesn't want to embarrass his parents by not having powers. So it's not foreign ground for a Disney Channel movie to delve into this. No. We got that in Johnny Tsunami, but having it be in the context of superheroes is a lot more fun than my dad doesn't want me to surf, but I want to surf. That's just my opinion here. Also, Steel Condor is much cooler than Grandpa Johnny Tsunami. I'm just putting that out here. I'm just putting that out here. So after faking everybody out with his super strength, that's why they were all like super talking about his powers. It's like, oh, it's so cool. What's your name going to be at dinner? It was a weird thing where his sister said that he was practicing flying earlier, but it seemed to imply that she was seeing him practicing and then he wasn't flying. But then everybody interprets it as he was flying, and he says, I did fly. And Molly, his sister, doesn't say that he didn't fly. So he's like, okay, I'll show you guys. But everybody stays at the dinner table. And he fakes them out in possibly the dumbest way ever.
Throws a soccer ball up into the trees.
Yes, he hits a branch so it rustles. So then his mom's like, oh, he's stuck
he
in
hit
the
tree.
So then they all get up to leave to go look at him.
Look for him, and he's hiding around the corner.
And they can't find him. And then his dad's like, oh, I can't see him. Maybe I'll go fly up because there's like planes flying
and
over.
And he's like, up, and up. And Scott's like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, watch out.
Oh, and then he drops down. He's not sweaty or anything. He's just like totally normal. He's like, wow, that was so cool. And everybody's like, wow, that's so awesome. You can fly. And we're really stupid.
And the sister's like, I don't believe you.
As she is right to. But again, it's all about not wanting to let down his dad. So the next morning, Scott is working on his homework, which is on the computer. The EP, or Earth Protector is a logo, pops up. He starts to get hypnotized. He's really just zoning out in front of the computer.
Yes.
And then, like a good early 2000s parent, Dad's like, I don't know about this technology, these computers in my house. No, he's more, this computer seemed to have been brainwashing him or hypnotizing him.
He knew.
So, down at breakfast, Adam, who, his name is Silver Streak or Silver Speedster, something like that. I didn't quite get it, and it's not important because he has the worst costume.
Silver Surfer.
No, not the Silver Surfer. He has the worst costume of anybody. But he's talking about, on the news it said that the bank robbers from yesterday escaped. Their cells just opened.
And the dad's like, let me guess, computer malfunction or something.
How did you know? And it's because Bronze Eagle is the Batman of this world. He's the world's greatest detective who can also fly. So he has more superpowers than Batman.
He's got it all.
And he's got a family and
money,
not dead
fast
parents.
Cars,
so
diamond rings, gold chains.
Batman would hate him.
Jealousy.
So him and, I'll just call him Speedy, they go to the bank. And it's implied that Speedy has the power of electricity again. And that he can maybe use it to analyze electronics.
Yeah.
So he starts to shock the computer
at the bank. He's got both fingers, kind of like you touch one of those electric balls and you can follow it.
Standing up.
Yeah, and he's like, and it's doing that, and then it just starts smoking.
Yeah, the computer basically, just
breaks.
Explodes. It's just short of starting on fire. And he's like, well, I guess it didn't work.
He did. He shrugged and he's like, oh well.
I need the receipts to see if this ever worked because it doesn't make any sense. We also find out a fun little bit with his powers later on, something else he can do with electricity, and it just seems that there's some moral questions and ethical issues with his powers.
Which one?
We'll get to it at the end.
Okay.
So at school, all the kids in Scott's class are wearing blue.
Wearing blue.
So,
wonder why.
This is weird. But one kid is not, and we find out why he isn't, because he's the one kid who didn't do his homework.
Forgot to do his homework.
And he's wearing a red shirt, and everybody laughs at him because Earth Protectors are brainwashing people to become bullies and to ostracize members of their class.
But who notices that they're all wearing blue? Do you remember?
The teacher?
The brother of Scott. They were out at lunch or something, and he's like, yo, you guys got a pep rally? You plan all this? And Scott's like, what? What you mean? Like, you guys are all wearing blue. What's up with that? And he's like, I don't know. Coincidence?
During this conversation, somebody randomly throws a ball of aluminum foil.
Yeah, they were playing catch with it, and they're like, Scott, catch! And then they throw the aluminum, and the brother grabs it, and he's like,
yeah, he's like, you can't touch it because you have powers, even though he doesn't.
No, so he could have touched it, and then his brother would have called him on not.
And this is where, in case we weren't smart enough up to this point to figure out what the weakness of the family was, it was really hit home that aluminum foil affects the molecular structure of the family. It's, their kryptonite, if you will.
Yes.
And we see another person who is noticing the blue shirts amongst the kids, which is Malcolm.
Yeah, he's like, it's working. Yeah, baby.
And Nina. And we see that Malcolm is doing some more nefarious things where he gives the kids a craving for chocolate and makes them all eat chocolate at once. And his crony's like, hey, yo, boss, what you gonna do with this? He's like, hey, you'll see.
I don't understand why the chocolate thing. They already
He's just showing that he has extra power over them.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been selling the chocolates. Anyway.
Well, that kind of gets to his end goals. Yeah. But, so Nina, I think, was the one who put in the blue, that they wanted to wear blue, because she gets excited, because she's like, oh, it's working. I can influence all these young minds.
Yeah.
So, really, the goal of Earth Protectors is about protecting the Earth. Nina is an eco-hippie,
Yeah.
but she wants to protect the earth by controlling all the minds of young kids to not litter and, like, pick up trash.
So not, like, terrible things. She did talk about not eating meat, which is a little, that's...
Yes, it's one of those things where do the ends justify the means? And for most supervillains,
I'm all for picking up litter.
So she's not as bad as Malcolm, but at the same time, she's doing some kind of fucked up shit by controlling kids' minds.
Yeah, but she has a better end game.
So we see, the divide that is happening between brother and sister, where they seem to have different end goals. So Scott is with his family, and he's got his soccer uniform on, so he must be going to practice soon, but he's practicing posing like a superhero, and then I guess what you would do when you're about to take off for flight. The whole family there, grandma and grandpa and everybody.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, go flying right now. And he's like, no, come on. And his dad's like, well, I'll take you flying. So he goes up and away. He flies up there. They're just wearing their normal clothes. And it's actually not the worst. I was really prepared for terrible flying effects. And besides the fact that they're going about 5 feet a second, it's not... Actually, that might be kind of fast. 5 feet a minute.
5 feet a second's not that bad. Well, moving on.
Yes, but it doesn't look as bad as when Marnie's flying with Grandma in Halloween Town or anything. But Dad is trying to test his flying capabilities because he already thinks he's able to fly. He drops him.
Yes.
And
he falls, and he's like, Dad, I'm falling. I can't fly.
He nearly plummets to his death, and Bronze Eagle is basically just like, oops, goes and gets him, drops him home. Let's drop the suspicion to Mom that he doesn't even know how to fly.
Did he drop him at home, or didn't they go right to the soccer game? I think he brought him right to the soccer game.
Yeah, they do go to the soccer game.
Yeah.
I say it doesn't matter, but in a way, the soccer stuff is maybe the most important part of the movie.
Yes.
Finally, the day of the 14th birthday party, or as Adam says at one point, the big 1-4 happens, and every superhero seemingly... Probably not just in town, because if that was just what this town had for superheroes...
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
They would have no problem.
It was essentially the Justice League and like the Sub-Justice League assembled at one place.
Yeah.
Which seems like a major security risk that if there were real supervillains and they found out that there's just this normal house...
They just take them all out.
It's not like Batman's house where it has security measures or anything. It's just a normal house and all these heroes are gathered together. They all know each other.
Kill them all.
And they all know each other's secret identities, too.
That is true.
But we get some different powers. We get an Elastigirl, Mr. Fantastic equivalent of a guy with a really long, stretchy arm.
I like that one.
We get some invisible people. We get, I think, Jacob's favorite, which was the guy with big ears.
Yeah, I don't know what his power was. Just really good hearing.
He's Barack Obama. He got them big.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Nothing but respect for Mr. Obama.
Nothing but respect.
So, yeah, a lot of ridiculous costumes.
Yes.
But somebody else who has a costume is Scott. He has a costume that around, I think, his cape around his neck is emblazoned with W-E. And he's got a face mask, something that you would see like in Batman and Robin. Robin has. And some of the other heroes have those. And they announced, hey, this is my son Scott, so use it as real names, but could you call him Warrior Eagle?
I'll play on his mother and father's name.
Because he both has super strength and flight, at least that's what his parents
allegedly
think. So they're all like, hey, everybody pay attention over here. Scott's going to take a superhero oath. And his mom recites it. And he's like, oh, Dad, I want to tell you something. But his dad's like, son, you're supposed to say I do.
Yeah, Dad's getting pissed, and
because he doesn't want him to embarrass him in front of his friends.
He peer pressures his son into saying, yes, I am honest, and I have the power.
Yes. He says, I have the power. Cut to the music. He says I do, and everybody's like, yeah, hey. Then we get to see at some undisclosed location at a warehouse, Malcolm is with Nina and his other crony, and he's telling Nina that she needs to put a tracker on Bronze Eagle, that he'll be here soon. You gotta put a tracker on him.
And he's gonna be there soon because they're gonna set the bitch on fire.
Malcolm and crony go out to their Earth Protectors
Sex
labeled
offender
van.
Sex offender van.
If they had like satellite technology back then, they'd just be like, oh, we know who blew up this warehouse because they blow it up with Nina inside of it. It was a controlled demolition or fire, so it's just a fire. Cut back to the party where one of my other
superheroes.
Yeah, they all get their pagers buzzing.
Yes.
Which we already know that...
Who's informing them of this stuff happening?
That's a good question. There's a lot of questions. So, quick aside here. We already know that superpowers are passed down through family members.
Okay.
But that's what their job... Well, actually, no, it's not necessarily what their job is.
Who's paying them?
But it's implied that it's their job, but at the same time, the mom says she was at a meeting with the board of trustees or something. But Scott also later on says, it's my family's business. So they seemingly are making money somehow.
From the government, probably.
That's the thing that's one interesting thing if people are familiar with anime or manga of One Punch Man or My Hero Academia, which are both very big right now. That's like the Japanese take on Western superheroes, but in Japan, like the government is very bureaucratic and there's lots of hierarchies and red tape and stuff. So their version of superheroes is they're all like governed by the government and you have to get like a hero license and you have to like pass tests and stuff. So that's kind of what I'm feeling that some of this is like, where it is controlled by the government, they're like licensed and that's how they get paid. But again, questions that we want to know answers for, but we just don't have. Before they decide, Bronze Eagle's reaction to this, which is one of my favorite lines again in the movie, which is, oh, there's a woman trapped in this burning building, which is, somehow they know that in the pagers, I don't know.
Yes.
Whoever's calling them has x-ray vision.
The way he said it was...
It was pretty close to my delivery. It's very matter-of-factly.
Trapped in a burning building.
So he's like, okay, I guess I'll leave the party to go save her. We were just about to cut the cake.
And some random dude, Green Lantern or whatever, I don't know who it was.
I think it was the Mr. Fantastic stretchy arm guy.
Okay, and he's like, well, why don't you have Scott do it? Or he probably said his name.
Which seems crazy.
American Eagle.
That he just got his powers. It's also his fucking birthday.
Like, go save that woman.
The best gift is, just go rescue somebody. Super strength, super flight. You should have this
His mom's
down.
like, I don't know. And his grandpa's like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, but Bronze Eagle is like, and then everybody just starts chanting.
Scott.
All the superheroes super peer pressure him into doing a good deed, but a deed that even if he was new to his powers, he should not have been up to the task of necessarily doing perfectly.
So, once again, Scott goes out into the yard, and he throws the soccer ball, hitting the tree yet again. But the soccer ball lands next to Grandpa.
It lands in the pool. There's a pool there.
Yeah, the Grandpa's sitting right there. He's, oh, shit. The ball splashed.
It's amazing that it tricked the family on their own, but there's this house. It's basically the end of Johnny Tsunami where there's a party and everybody's invited.
Everybody's fooled.
Everybody's there. It's so matter-of-factly. He just runs out, chucks the soccer ball, and runs off screen. And they're I guess he hit the tree again.
So they all run out to watch it, and they're like, oh, what is that? Oh, it's a helicopter. Oh, there he is. No, that's an eagle. Oh, there he is. No, that's a UFO.
Yeah, so it's a good little comedy bit. And while this is happening, Scott's getting on his bike, puts his helmet on, like a good Disney Channel character, and rides off. But yeah, damn, that soccer ball. That's some next level parental trickery right there.
It's a funny.
Why did Ferris Bueller do that?
The soccer ball trick.
No, Ferris is home. I just heard him hit a tree. He's perfectly fine. Okay, so at the site, Scott is approaching there, and just like the bank robbery, there's a huge crowd of people. He's pushing through. Yes. There's some firemen, and he's juking them out, going side to side, gets around the firemen.
He's using his sick soccer skills.
That's his real superpower.
I love it.
Faking out authority figures. But this is... The camera crews in this town are quick to get there. They're already filming the explosion, the fire. They're filming this little kid in a cape running around firemen. Back home at the party, they're watching it on TV. Oh, there's Scott. But Bronze Eagle says, why is he on the ground? I guess Bronze Eagle, if he was the Saber, he just would have flown and punched a hole through the roof of the warehouse. That'd be more dramatic. So Scott gets inside past the firemen. He finds Nina and says, oh, I can save you if we just find a fire hose.
And they do.
They find a fire hose, which, again, it's like, wait, what is he going to do with this? He thinks it's going to have water. No, he uses it as a rope.
The rope.
So, they use
hose
this
was needed.
hose, but it only reaches maybe halfway down to the ground.
Yeah.
So Nina's like, you sure you can't, like, use a power or something?
It was...
She says, why can't we just fly? And then Scott says, a funny joke, oh, you can fly? Great, let's do that. And she's
I don't think it was a joke. Well, it was a joke for the movie, but, like, he thought...
Yes, no.
Yes.
Thank you for explaining comedy in the context of this film. But, so they're climbing down, and Scott saves her. Just kidding. He does not save her.
No.
They're about to fall to their deaths, or at least...
Because the hose thing is ripping out of the wall, because Scott is...
So they're about to fall to either death or grave injury, and then Bronze Eagle swoops in.
No. Oh, yeah, it was.
And during this whole commotion, something that I really appreciated is we talked about how Scott had one of those Batman and Robin-type masks, and the mask falls off, which is... My feeling whenever I see one of those is, how does that stay on their face?
True.
Also, it doesn't really obscure their face that much.
Not really.
So Bronze Eagle saves them, drops them off. Nina's safe, picks up Scott's mask.
Yeah.
And as the camera pans down to her picking up the mask from the ground, we get a real shouting out to the vines. We were saying, what are those?
Her shoes are huge.
I don't know if I think they're sometimes called step-ups, where they are heavier shoes and it's used to, like, tone your, like, butt and, like, calves or whatever.
They showed her butt plenty, though.
Oh, I'm telling you, audience, nothing to really write home about.
They do show her butt.
Yeah, that was part of her contract. Is like, I've really been working on my bottom, so could you get my caboose in the film? I'm trying to put this in my reel and get my work out there a bit more. But these are shoes that are they have soles that are at least 2 inches thick.
Yeah. It's
either she wanted to raise her height or she wanted that, that
bubble butt.
That's not how that works.
I don't know.
I mean, when you want to know the best techniques to really hone your booty, Jacob and Lucas of A Whole New Pod are the people to talk to.
Tips and tricks.
Yes.
I'll write them down.
Lucas,
booty aficionados.
You didn't know that Lucas is actually spelled with 2 C's.
Oh.
I'll let that sink in.
That's like a thick joke?
Okay. I'll leave it to Jacob to always, he's the commentary track, the annotations at the bottom that spell out why something is funny.
I jumped on that one quick. I know you.
Well,
I know you're
we've got the tape to show how long it took.
Yes.
So Nina picks up this mask. Bronze Eagle, mad at Scott, tells him to run home.
Yes.
So Scott apologizes to his parents. He explains that he did it because... the expectations he felt on him. And his parents are very nice, and they say, of course we don't care if you're a hero or not.
We just care about your safety.
Yeah, be what you want to be. You don't need to be a hero.
No.
Also, you don't need superpowers to be a hero, which is a different theme in the movie. All good stuff here. Then we get a little mention of, do we need to worry about his mask that fell? Should we send Adam out? Ooh, there's a throwaway line that'll come into play more later. Should Adam go there and, like, clean up some mines? And they're like, nah, we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. Right.
But they do, because we see Malcolm sinisterly holding the mask. What's he going to do with that?
Facial.
Something very stupid.
Facial recognition.
So the next day in the carpool of Soccer Girl's mom, also known as Soccer Mom.
Marshall.
She definitely is a soccer mom.
Not Marshall.
Scott and Randy. Who
is Marshall.
Soccer Girl, Randy, Soccer Mom are all making fun of the kid they saw in the news who failed at rescuing the girl from the fire.
Like, his cape. Who wears a cape?
They're like, who wears a cape? And do you think other superheroes aren't cool that wear capes? Is it only that it's because he's a kid with a cape that it's stupid?
Yeah, I didn't...
But, Scott goes off and is like, shut the fuck up, Randy!
He was pissed.
And they're all like, what? And really, I don't know if they could tell from the footage, but if they'd seen that the little boy was black... not everybody's criminal mastermind.
That's what that's what his parents would say. Like, oh, they were too far away. They didn't get a good look at his face or a good look at him.
Yeah, but a lot of people in this town are stupid.
Yeah.
So then we get to see back home, Scott's just tearing up all of his superhero memorabilia. And Wise Grandpa stops by, drops some knowledge that you don't need a cape. It's not the cape that makes you a hero. So, take that, Johnny Tsunami, with your steel Condor could beat the shit. My grandpa could beat up your grandpa.
Oh my. Celebrity death match.
So then we just get to see the kids doing their homework on the computer, specifically Randy, who is like really simultaneously, like zoned out and like loud. And I just had to make like the joke that like he's like watching porn or something on the computer.
He might have been. We don't know.
In lieu of Sam being here, I will make a joke about young children watching pornography.
Wow.
But it makes more sense in this than in Smart House. But again, they're being brainwashed. There's something going on. And we see what the product of the brainwashing was, because all of the kids, Scott included, and Randy, and Soccer Girl, and presumably other kids in the school,
are taking money out of billfolds and purses and piggy banks and...
Not piggy.
Probably.
It would have been great if they, like, Scott took
Smashing
Molly's
his little
piggy
sisters.
bank and smashed
That would have been good.
But Scott's mom, I think it's his mom he takes some money from, she's packing. She has a real job and a hero. She had at least 100 and then multiple other kinds of bills.
Yes, big bills. So he's taking them out of both of his parents, and they're about to get ready to go to school or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, honey, did you borrow money out of mine?" Like, no, I thought you borrowed money out of mine. No,
and then I think it's even implied that Adam was
missing money too. He's like, I got to pay the paper boy, yo, like. Or he maybe was the paper boy. I don't know which.
No,
one of the two.
Adam's not the paper boy.
So one of the two, yeah. So he had to pay the paper boy, but didn't have any money to pay the paper boy. So all the money's gone. So they're asking, like, what's up? And then Molly's like, well, let me use see
Molly, the little sister who had laser vision or laser eyes.
Yeah.
And she
Let me see in the backpack.
She spells it out so clearly. With my x-ray vision, I can see that you have money in there. Yes. And I wonder if it was something, well, first they had established that she had x-ray vision, but it's also something where it's like, maybe they weren't sure if they were going to put the effect in. Oh. So she just had to be very clear. I am using x-ray vision and I see the money in your backpack.
That's possible.
But yeah, it just seems so weird the way she stated it. And so he has the money and it's like, I don't know how it got in there. So,
yeah. And they're like, don't lie to us. You've lied to us enough. You're on thin ice here. You're falling through the ice.
So they went from being good, understanding DCOM parents to ones that don't believe their kid again. But in this case, they're not supposed to, because he was hypnotized to not remember he took the money.
Yes,
so
correct.
I'd say Warrior Woman and Bronze Eagle, still okay in my book.
Yeah.
So at school, Randy and some other kids have handed off their money to Malcolm's crony, who is there at a table set up for environmental protectors.
And one of the teachers comes up and like, wow, you guys do it so easy. Teach me how to do it.
Yeah, she says, teach me how to...
Dougie.
Get people to donate to charity. Malcolm and Nina are, I guess, at their base using the mask to check the records of all the kids at the school.
Yes. To
see whose face matches up with the mask. But all of the pictures that are being used are way smaller than the mask, where the mask looks gigantic on it. But then they switch to a picture of Scott. But then they do some weird 3D recognition thing, and we're like, oh, it's a match. And it's very stupid, and I did not like that. Scott gets called to the principal's office immediately.
Yes.
And then gets put in front of a computer that hypnotizes him with environmental protector stuff. And then Malcolm pops up. I thought you were just back at your base, that you guys just did this, and then all of a sudden you're here. He pops up and starts, doing hypnotic suggestion, where he asks Scott to start listing off his parents' powers, identities,
weaknesses.
Yes, because, he has this mask, so he at least is either related or knows who Bronze Eagle is.
Yes.
In class, everybody's getting a special EP CD. Hey, check out my EP. You check out my EP? Don't say you'll listen to it, because then they'll ask you to pay $20 for it.
True.
So Scott gets a specific CD, though. Everybody else gets the same CD. But
it's a red one. Red E.
I was specifically told to give this one to you.
To watch with your parents.
Yes.
Well, she tells that to all the students.
Yep. But he sees Nina outside by the van parked outside of the school.
Yes.
And he starts to rush out because he recognizes her from the fire, and he's starting to put pieces together that there's some sketchy stuff happening. But as he runs out, he bumps into Soccer Girl.
Yes.
And as they bump into each other, they both drop their CDs, and it's one of those switcheroos where Scott gets her CD,
the
she
green,
gets his CD.
The red.
I think he doesn't even go after Nina. He just goes right home. and tells them that you
guys got to watch this. Like he's like,
I think there's something going on with EP. And if you don't, they're like, we don't believe you. We've been believing you too much, and you're a fucking liar. And he's like, well, here, watch this CD. You're already supposed to do it with me. But it's just a CD about composting and, like, earthworms.
Yeah.
Regular EP stuff, I guess.
But Nina?
No, not Nina. I don't even remember her name. Soccer mom. Soccer girl's mom.
Soccer girl's mom, yes. Watches the CD-ROM, and we find out about her fate the next day, what she was told to do.
Yes, she goes to the bank and
sticks it up,
being very nonchalant and kind of goofy, where he says, hey, everybody, can you listen to me? This is a stick up. And she has her hand inside of her purse. We don't know if she has a gun or not. Probably pretending just to have a gun.
Yeah.
And then we see at the EP headquarters, the evil lair, so to speak, that it sounds like she, like, crashes into it, but she just, like, I don't know, slams on her brakes in the parking spot and comes in and is like, hey, soccer mom here, I got your money.
Yes.
And that tips off Malcolm and Nina that something's wrong because
something got switched.
The super family was supposed to apparently rob the bank.
Yes.
Which I think would have been more fun.
I mean, yeah, either way, he got the money. So, I mean...
He got that Skrilla.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see, like, Bronze Eagle punch the teller in the face.
Oh, my.
This wasn't what he wanted, because I think he both wanted the money and the heroes to be there. So somehow he pages the heroes.
He must have.
He has access to the universal call system, the bat signal that goes to everybody's pagers.
It didn't sound like he was even paging for, like, an accident or anything. He just paged him, like, he's like, oh yeah, Earth Protectors needs us here.
Yeah, it's very nondescript, but
they all show up because that's a smart idea.
So yeah, Mom, Warrior Woman, Bronze Eagle, and Adam, Speedy Silver Adam show up. While this is happening, Scott's at school where he hears from Randy that soccer mom robbed a bank. Scott really puts 2 and 2 together because the teacher's like, this isn't the CD you were supposed to. So he's like, oh shit, soccer mom watched this. So who does he call? Not the police.
Or the Ghostbusters.
True. Grandpa.
And
Grandpa's like, oh shit, I bet you're right. That definitely sounds like some super villain shit.
They should have had, like, Cheech Marin play Grandpa.
I think Steel Condor was well cast in this movie.
That was the vibe I was getting the whole time.
So Grandpa exits his house with Grandma, who will again never see her powers because it's too expensive.
Yes.
And she's like, "What are you doing? You too old for this." And he's like, "Bitch, I can still do it. I can still get it up."
Put away.
Implying that he can fly. And as he's doing this, he's like taking off his belt. And for a split second, I'm like, is he gonna like hit her with the belt? But like, woman, don't talk back to me. But no, he just, like, rips off his, like, clothes. It's very, like, awkward, and he's struggling, so it's supposed to be funny. And then he has his suit underneath.
Hop up and away, and he can't get off the ground. Yeah. He can't get it up.
But it kind of looked like he did, because the way his costume was hanging on him...
You could see his penis.
I might have seen a bit of a boner.
A little tip.
This is like a Cialis commercial. Him and Grandma were sitting in pairs of bathtubs next to each other.
Yeesh.
That's the real superpower of Steel Condor. His Condor is Steely still.
Oh, Steely Dan.
Okay. So he flies away, but we cut back to him once or twice, and he's going very slowly, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I should have taken the bus or something."
Like he was going like 5 feet. We talked about 5 feet a second earlier. He's literally going 5 feet a second. Back
at the evil lair, the heroes, called there by the page, are further lured in by Scott's mask hanging in the warehouse type place.
You're like, what the hell?
And as they approach it, they get trapped in an aluminum foil prison.
Like the steel cage, except aluminum cage from WWE.
So then Malcolm pops up, and he has he's wearing like a suit jacket, blazer, but
glasses.
To be a real villain, he has cool sunglasses that are positioned on his nose so he can still look over them, but he looks like a tech billionaire type figure.
Fair.
So now we know his transformation into villain is complete. There's no going back now. To further deal with them, he handcuffs them with aluminum foil, so their powers are really getting sapped. And this is so that their energy will be completely gone, so then they can be completely brainwashed. So I guess the issue with adults not being able to be brainwashed is they have too much energy. Because I know as an adult, as a kid, I'm used to not having energy, but as an adult, I just have so much
all
fucking
the energy. I am so energized right now.
I'm always like, Jacob, let's do this podcast on time and like totally cool and not a couple of days late like we are doing this time.
Is what it is.
So yeah, he sets up like a computer in front of them that's going to brainwash them.
Yes.
And this is where we find out, I guess, partially his end plan, which is similar.
$20 billion. Muhahaha.
Well, it's similar in kind of mundaneness as what we find out in Under Wraps. And it won't be the last time we talk about Under Wraps here of whatever that evil guy was trying to avoid his taxes.
Tax evasion.
Malcolm just wants to control all the consumers in the world to buy his, I guess, products, if he's making products, or just to give him money from like their parents or something.
He could just become like the Joel Osteen, and he'd have all the money. But
it's a believable enough motivation and further evidence that capitalism is bad. There's bad faith actors like Malcolm out there in Silicon Valley. Nina finally is like, hey, Malcolm, you're bad. And she's like, where did you go wrong? And this is a couple of really, I think, funny digs at kind of hippie types, at least of the 2000s. I should have known when you were drinking from that styrofoam cup, all of those beef jerky wrappers, that belt you said wasn't made from leather from a cow. And then he's just like, whatever, crony, take her away.
Yeah. But that's not the last we see of her.
Oh, of course not. At school, Scott runs up to Soccer Girl and has there's a few just out of context, really funny lines in this. And he says, no time to explain, but your mom didn't rob the bank. So Randy, Soccer Girl, and Scott all start biking to the HQ because they know where it is. And they have to go inside because Steel Condor isn't there yet, but they got to save the parents. And this is where the movie largely turns into Under Wraps, where it hadn't really been set up to this point, but Randy turns into the Gilbert, where he's kind of like the scaredy wimp.
Yes.
The love influencer.
I think they ran out of script. They're just like, okay, what can we do?
Let's go. Hey, that movie came out 3 years ago. Nobody's going to remember this shit. And until we came in.
And it's literally like play by play. There's the bad guys. There's the three.
There's the bad guys in a weird warehouse.
And they're setting up like booby traps and stuff.
Yeah. How do we deal with them? We have to do a distraction.
Yeah.
The distraction is there's a bunch of packing material around, even though this is the headquarters of environmental protectors.
So what are they shipping out?
They're not shipping anything out, but they have.
Why would they be using all this stuff? I feel like it's not environmental friendly either.
No, the stuff they're using. It's definitely not.
It's not environmental friendly. They have all the plastic.
Yeah, there's like big rolls of plastic wrap. There's packing, not packing peanuts, bubble wrap, which we'll get to in a second. So Scott takes one of these big rolls and yells through it, pretending to be like a cop yelling through a megaphone.
We got you surrounded.
Yeah, put your hands up. And then, like a good cop, does not wait long for them to respond.
Just start
pretends
shooting.
To start shooting at them. So, believable cop action.
And they're stepping on the bubble wrap.
Yes, which...
aggressively, and they're freaking out. Where are they coming from? Where are the shots coming from?
Which I don't want to be, a Cinema Sins type. 100 times the... up and away screwed up. But if they're stepping on this bubble wrap behind like a wall and it's not, being echoed around,
that loud.
People wouldn't even care.
No.
Gunshots are deafening, and there was a ton of gunshots.
Yes.
But they kind of pick up that it's not really...
It's like, it's just those kids. Get them.
Yeah, get them. But it's like a Scooby-Doo type thing where they struggle a lot. And they don't even have a mummy to help them. They just are hitting the cronies with like the big rolls of plastic wrap. And
they're hitting the ground hard. Like they've just been hit with blocks of cement.
Yeah.
They're tripped by like...
some little plastic wire or something.
Yeah.
So really just stupid stuff. Ultimately they do get caught. But the person to catch Randy... Actually, no. They get caught, but Randy... They get cornered, and Randy has his really standout moment where he tells the cronies, I have superpowers. And he's like, I'm going to beat you up in so many different ways. And
they got scared.
He was channeling the full power of the kid from the Vine, where he says, Don't fuck with me. I have the power of God and anime. Ah! So
and they didn't
look up that, and then you'll see what this scene is like.
Yeah, they didn't want to mess with him. The one guy pulls out the aluminum. He's like, that stuff don't affect me.
And then he starts eating it like George the Animal Steel or something.
My feelings.
But yes,
and then they tackle him.
Maybe Randy is a superhero, and that's his weakness.
Oh,
so then they capture him and
that'd be a good
others.
sequel.
Yeah, Randy, the adventures of Randy, just like in Under Wraps. We wanted to see the adventures of the sweaty horror shop owner.
Yes, need that.
Under Wraps and Up and Away crossover. But Nina's the one who deals with Scott. She steps up and ties him up, and he's like, what the fuck? But she's like, yo, I'm in on it. I'm going to help you save your parents. So as Nina is pretending to finally have a change of heart to help Malcolm, she puts the different disc in the computer.
Yes.
But then the crony
notices it
immediately, which again, he's not brainwashed. He's really dialed in. He's
in and he wants them $20 billion, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, fucking for all of like the amounts of money that people have wanted in DCOMs, like that's a real amount of money. It's
that's
not
a
like
lot of money.
You know, $100,000 or $1 million, even in 90s money, even in the year 2000 money. $20 billion, heck of a lot of
billion.
money.
He's like 20. You know, I just want to, you know, I'll be happy with 20 billion, 40 billion, you know.
Malcolm grew up to be Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
So Crony catches that it's the wrong disc. They swap out the discs. Brainwashing is still going ahead on the heroes. Nina gets pulled away. And this is where, basically throughout this whole section, a lot of the stuff earlier in the movie, it's not like the greatest superhero movie ever, but it was something different. But at the end of this movie really just turns into full-on DCOM, children shenanigans.
Rush it till the end kind of thing.
Obviously, we already made the comparison to Up and Away. Or not, sorry. Under Wraps. But it's similar. Everyone has, you know, ridiculous scheme in Xenon or Can of Worms. It's all basically throwing marbles and watching the wet bandits flail around and then land on a nail. But it's not the grit of Home Alone. So this is the dumbest part, because in my notes I had largely not written anything about soccer. Because I'm like, this shit doesn't matter. But as we said earlier, it matters.
Most important role.
Scott's real superpower is not that he's the choke king, but he's the clutch king.
Clutch king.
When he needs to kick a goal, he does. So Soccer Girl, befitting her name, has a soccer ball in her backpack.
Naturally.
That she just rolls out. Scott is not being held down like the others by a crony of some kind. He just breaks free. Starts dribbling around, juking people again.
He's making like 4 or 5 guys like fall.
Yeah.
And then I think it's Malcolm that goes to block him.
Yeah, so Malcolm is in front of the prison.
He's playing the goalie.
It's checkered and barred like a goal net, if you will.
Yeah.
And then Scott goes to shoot. He gets past Malcolm and goes through one of the squares of the aluminum foil prison.
1 second to spare.
Yeah.
Knocking
that's because there's a whole ticking clock of
it's like 30
how long
seconds.
Until they're fully brainwashed.
And the computer voice is counting 30 seconds till total brainwash.
Which is also something that happens in DCOMs where the ticking clock in Under Wraps of when Harold the mummy's going to die, the ticking clock in Xenon of when it's going to blow up.
Yeah.
When these heroes are going to be turned into soldiers of capitalism for...
Wow.
It's not really clear why Malcolm wants the heroes. If he wants consumers to just buy a bunch of products, is he just getting the heroes brainwashed so then they don't bother him anymore?
Oh, maybe.
Whatever. The movie's almost over.
Who knows?
Kicks the goal in. It hits the computer.
Falls, breaks.
And like any computer that you nudge slightly, it starts sparking and explodes pretty much immediately. And yay! The day is saved. The heroes get out.
Yay!
They deal with Malcolm and the cronies. They're all like tied up and it's all good.
Yeah.
We get to see the mention of Adam's ability to wipe people's memory come into play as he... wiped all the people's memories, and then he comes up, Nina's like, oh, I'm sorry. I guess controlling people's minds, even if it's for the environment, is ethically and morally kind of fucked up. I won't do that. I'll just pick up trash. And they're like, okay, cool. We'll wipe your memory, which would probably still make her feel the way she did before.
Yeah.
And then during this time is when Soccer Girl finally confesses her love for Scott.
Yes.
And hilariously, she has to get her memory wiped after she says that.
R.I.P.
And then his parents are like, oh, well, if she liked you before.
She'll still like, you know.
But, maybe isn't as strong because she wasn't in a life and death situation with Scott. But the best moment of the movie is Randy.
Yes.
Is about to get
He's like, I basically saved the world. I saved you.
Yeah. I had the power of God in anime.
And he's like, and then the mom's like, well, Scott kind of needs a friend to talk to.
Yeah, about his superhero shit. So Randy does not get his memory wiped.
No.
And I don't think there's a sequel, but if there was a sequel of Randy and Scott getting up into some shenanigans, superhero related, it would be great. Because Randy's like, I can be your sidekick. Again, ignoring the fact that Scott doesn't have superpowers. So at this point, I think Steel Condor busts through a wall Kool-Aid Man style, but he's late. Aha, it's funny.
It is thick brick walls made out of styrofoam.
Yep.
Clearly.
Nina would be pissed. Malcolm, how dare you build these walls out of styrofoam?
Oh my.
You're killing the sea turtles.
Oh my.
So it's funny. He shows up.
Yes.
Then we get a little bit more. This was the last really family moment where it's, hey, we're proud of you. You don't need superpowers to be a hero.
Cut to soccer field.
Yep. Go back to soccer, the most important part of this movie.
And they're picking captains.
Yep. Soccer girl at first is acting like a jerk to Scott.
Yeah.
Where maybe it's like, oh, maybe she doesn't really have the same feelings anymore. But she's getting there because they mentioned at some point that they're picking captains soon for the team.
Yes.
They vote on them just by saying who they want to.
So they're down to the final 2 votes, and it's her.
Not a hidden vote, so I feel like there's a lot of pressure on teammates.
So it's her, and it's down to Scott, and she picks Scott, and the coach is like, well, there's one more vote, Scott. You're up by 1. And he's like, I pick you.
I pick soccer girl.
Soccer girl. And he's like, it's a tie! Co-captains! We all win! The end.
That's basically it. It's Alien versus Predator. It's Soccer Girl versus Scott. Whoever wins, we all win.
We all win.
Really, the final shot, it ends very abruptly. Even for a DCOM, final shot is them playing soccer, panning up from the field, and Randy and him are talking about superhero shit. He's like, "Hey, I can be your sidekick, like the fucking Tonto or Kanto, or Kato from the Green Hornet."
He's like, "I don't want to be Tonto."
He's like, "Dude, I'm not a superhero," and then it's just fucking done. That's the end of the movie. Is Green Hornet? He says, "Green Hornet came to my birthday party." That's the fucking end of the movie. Famous last words: "The Green Hornet came to my fucking birthday party." So,
oh boy.
As I said, kind of turned into a typical DCOM in about the last 15 minutes, as there was a resolution for the conflict in the movie. But overall, I like this movie a lot. I think it was ambitious in a way,
ahead of its time. You can elaborate on that.
So to really hit this home, this was the year 2000. The Incredibles, I think, came out in 2004, and this is basically The Incredibles before The Incredibles. But to put in context of even superhero media out there, I don't think the first Spider-Man movie, which is really Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi directed ones, were really when superhero movies were started to take a little bit more seriously. I think the first X-Men probably was around this time too. And this was before those. The most recent superhero movies to this time were probably the Joel Schumacher Batman movies, like Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, are generally reviled.
Yeah.
They are very bad. So to not have anything to really base this off of, it's still a fun superhero type movie. It's also reminds me of Sky High a little bit before Sky High was a thing.
Yeah.
But so within the context of that they didn't have a lot to work off of. Little cool extra thing of that it's a whole family of black superheroes. To have a whole family of black people of any kind in a DCOM, I don't know if it really happens again until the Proud Family movie. But even in general, there's not a lot of black superhero movies or media. We just recently got Black Panther. I think Black Lightning is a current show on CW. There was Static Shock to go back to kids WB cartoons.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah. So it's cool in that. And again, just the general plot and interactions in the movie.
It was a fun film.
Yeah, it was ambitious. There's stuff that doesn't make sense. There's stuff that doesn't add up. The villains were unique, had kind of a fun premise. There was the interesting dynamic of Nina being altruistic, who wants a good end goal, but is kind of doing some shady stuff to get there, and her brother betraying her to just make a lot of money. Classic Malcolm.
Typical
and then
Malcolm.
The themes of inclusion, trying to live up to family expectations that have happened in other DCOMs, but I think were more well done and more fun in this context, not as melodramatic as something like the generational dad issues in Johnny Tsunami. And finally, I will say one issue else I did take with the movie was the ending. The family stuff wasn't the last note we left on because it had to do the DCOM thing of bringing in the love interest, tying it into a dumb sport that nobody cares about, and that's the final thing. Where if I were to write the end of this movie, because one of the other major themes of the movie was heroes don't need capes. You don't need superpowers to be a hero. But we don't really see that executed on in just beyond just the words. So it's just, you don't need to be or have a cape to be a superhero, but here, just go fucking play soccer. Where my fan fiction ending to this movie, as I told Jacob earlier, was cut to months later after they tie up, everybody's memory's wiped. Cut to Bronze Eagle flying around, a warrior woman fighting, and they're calling up, or I guess being paged by Scott, who's back home, typing away on the computer, getting information, feeding them, kind of being like the brains of the operation, the sort of Oracle to Batman or the Alfred to Batman, supporting them in that way. And I think that would have been a cooler send-off to the movie that would have hit home the major themes of the movie better than deciding to end it on like the wet fart of, you like soccer and you're okay at it, Choke King, and the girl maybe still likes you. But we got a little bit more Randy, so maybe it was worthwhile in the end.
More Randy is always better.
So enough of me going on too long about DCOMs, as I seem to always do. Jacob, tell us about whether you remember watching this movie as a child or not.
I don't remember like the villains of the movie. I don't really recall them too much, but like the up in a way. Like I remember the grandpa. I do remember like the grandpa. I don't remember the grandma. She wasn't really in the movie.
That's a
the sister.
Big miss. We needed the morph.
The morph would have been cool, But I remember the sister and her kind of like snottiness, a little bit of the sister and a little bit of the grandpa the most. Don't really remember Scott at all. Definitely a lot of under wraps vibes, though. Towards the end, it just felt like right out of the playbook. But yeah, like Lucas already touched on, just a fun, progressive movie, ahead of its time.
Yeah, ahead of its time in a lot of different ways, and
yeah.
I don't think I'd put it in the upper ranks, but I'd still say it's definitely in the top half of the ones we've watched. Yeah. Just because it tried for some stuff. It was far from being perfect in its execution.
It was unique.
But it tried for different stuff.
I mean, especially when we're getting, superhero movies like 5 a year now. It was just out of the blue.
They weren't following a Marvel formula of having a slightly unlikable, but also really quick-witted and funny superhero, like all Marvel heroes. But that's something for another time, because this pod has gone long. Signing out quick. If you liked us, just us in general, not the podcast. If you just like us on a personal level, please send us a fan mail.
Yeah.
To awholenewpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Wherever you're getting us, your podcast platform of choice.
Give it a like, a thumbs up, a share.
Yeah.
Download.
iTunes or Google Play.
Review.
Yeah, review. Rate us 5 stars, or you don't need to be 5 stars. It'd be nice if it's 5 stars.
6 would be better.
Write a review. If it's good, we'll definitely read it. If it's bad and funny, we might still read it. So if you feel like that, putting that out there. Follow us on Twitter at awholenewpod, all one word. And again, I'll allow Jacob.
Jacob_Telejohn, JACOB_TELLIJOHN.
I don't think you need to spell it out.
Check it out. Hit that follow.
You're like a
JACOB_TELLIJOHN.
I got a T. I got a E.
Sold.
Yeah, right. So thank you for sticking with us. I think this was I had fun doing this episode.
Yeah.
I think we had good energy despite whatever I did. My ill-conceived intro. And then we didn't have the Sam energy. But Jacob is getting a phone call, so we need his... Up and away! I wanted him to answer the phone call on air, but that we'll just have to settle for the most basic final words. So
it works.
All right, now we clap, right? We clap at the end.
Perfect.